Good morning everyone, and this Sunday is the third Sunday in our Lent journey, and this week we're going to be looking at another reason why Jesus came. Jesus came to bring in God's kingdom, and that sounds a little bit strange, and we're going to be exploring that this week, and we're going to see how we can be a part of helping put back the bits of God's kingdom that have got a little bit broken. But before we do that, we're going to join the Appleyard family because they're lighting our third Lent candle.
As we light these candles, we remember that he came to fulfill God's law, to speak with God's authority, and bring God's kingdom.
Thank you that as part of your plan you sent Jesus to bring your kingdom. Today we want to see your kingdom come in our lives, communities, nation and world. May your kingdom come and may your will be done in us, around us and through us.
Amen.
To proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom to the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind. To
Oh, man. Clearly, he hasn't read the Torah.
Truly, I tell you, no prophet is accepted in his hometown.
We're late.
Don't you complain. I mean, you're the one who kept stopping for lunch and morning tea and rest breaks and dessert and... I'm sorry, man. I know this was important to you. Hang on. Levi, if you're afraid of heights, raise your hand. What? Yay!
Ivy!
Surely you will quote this proverb to me. Physician, heal yourself. And you will tell me, do here in your hometown what we have heard.
What?
Truly,
Hey, look out.
What are you doing? When the sky was what? Friend, your sins are forgiven.
Forgiving sins? Who is this fellow who speaks blasphemy?
Which is easier to say? Your sins are forgiven, or to say get up and walk? Get up, take your mat, and go home.
This week I've been doing some turning out of my cupboards, and I was looking in our games cupboard and I found this game. It's quite an old game and we've always enjoyed playing it, but the box had become really tattered and torn. All of the corners had been ripped. So I've fixed most of them, I've mended most of them. I've got one left to do. You can see it's ripped right across the corner. So let's see if I can put that one back together as well. Tape it round, and there we go. I think that's looking a lot better, and now the box is ready to go back in the cupboard. But you know what? While I was mending it, I looked inside and I found there was something else that was broken that I didn't actually know about. It's the board. The board has become ripped. Can you see? And I think before we play it again, I'm going to need to mend it. So let's see if I can sort it out. Here we go. Another bit of tape. pop it on there and see if that will hold it all in place. Yep, that's much better. So I think I can put that back in the box now, and it's ready to be played again sometime. Because we've sorted it, we fixed the box that was outside and the board that was inside that were all broken. Does that remind you about anything from our story today? Yeah, the story was about a man who needed Jesus to mend him, to heal him. And he was broken. There was something wrong both on the outside and the inside. Can you remember either what was broken outside and what needed fixing inside? Well, of course, on the outside, he couldn't walk. So Jesus healed him so he could walk again. But Jesus knew there was something else that was broken about the man, something that was broken inside. Can you remember what it was? He needed to be forgiven. And so Jesus forgave him and he healed the man. He fixed what was broken both inside and outside. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been thinking about the reasons that Jesus came. Week 1, it was how Jesus came to fulfill the law. Week 2, how Jesus came to speak with God's authority. And this week, week 3, we're thinking about how Jesus came to bring God's kingdom. So, what has God's kingdom got to do with mending things? Well, you see, God knows about what is broken and he wants to fix it. And his kingdom is all about mending things that are broken, both inside and outside. So what does that mean? Well, maybe inside could be about something like our beliefs and what we think about ourselves and others and God and how we value them. And outside it could be about our attitudes, how we treat others and God and ourselves. And Jesus wants to fix what is broken right from the inside to the outside, so that we can live our lives more as he wants us to, as he intends us to. And you know, when Jesus mends what's broken, our thoughts, our attitudes, our behaviour, then we become even more beautiful in a new way. And remember that, like in the story, Jesus knows what's broken and he really wants to mend it, to fix it. So, week 3, Jesus came to bring God's kingdom.
So it's my turn to step outside this week, and we're thinking about God's kingdom, and we're thinking about what it means for Jesus's rule and reign to be in every area of our lives, and we see it in lots of different ways in creation too. And I want us to start thinking about looking for signs of brokenness, maybe things in our world that make us feel sad or upset, or where things are broken or needing restoring and healing. And I come just outside the front door, I come to this. This is one of my favourite plants. It's a Japanese anemone, and it looks like it's, well, broken. It's not broken at all. It actually needs pruning. And this weekend I'll get on and prune it. And when you cut back the dead stuff, you find that actually the new stuff comes along. I've done this already with my rose here. See, I've cut off the dead wood and the new growth, the new shoots are coming forward. So I think about God's kingdom and God's way in my life, and the places where I perhaps need to prune back some of the things, some of the ways of thinking, the ways of acting, the ways of speaking, which I know aren't right. So maybe we could think about that too as we go through our walks and look for things that need pruning. So I've made it to Hyde Street in Upper Beeding on my walks around the villages, and we're looking for signs where God's kingdom is already working, where things that are broken are being renewed, and where we can see signs of God's love. And I come here because I'm thinking oftentimes the things that are broken we can't even see. I'm thinking of the climate emergency that so often in our world we've just taken and taken and taken from our environment and not put back. We've made the world a difficult place, a dark place and a dangerous place. Now, we don't get to see many of the effects of that because we know that selfishness and our sin often affects the poorest people in our world. But I've come here especially thinking about these trees. The folk have planted these trees here as a sign of renewal of the world. We know trees are fantastic. As they grow up, they take in the carbon dioxide and the pollutants and they breathe out life-giving oxygen. So I want to think as I go around my walk today about the world in which I live, not just my own little village, but the whole world, and how we act responsibly for the world and its resources and the people who live there. So I'm on the last part of my walk around the villages and I just noticed this gate here, so I just stopped here for a moment because my final thought is about how we care for things that are broken in our world. Now, this gate needs some attention. You can see how it's rotten here and the hinges come off, and we need to treat it carefully, but it does still work. We just need to cherish it and look after it, treating it carefully. Now, we know in the life of Jesus that he is drawn to broken people and situations. And yes, he does heal and he restores, but he mainly loves the people that he meets. He treats them carefully. And that makes me think about all the things we looked at this morning on our walk around. How do we love and cherish the world in which we live? Things that are broken, things that need fixing in our own lives as well. So lots to think about as we wander around this week, looking for signs of things that are broken, where our own selfishness has taken the first place, and we need to ask God to help us to look after the world he's given us, and to love the world, and to live as a good steward, a good carer of the world and its people, living in a way which pleases him. Enjoy your walks this week, keep your eyes open, and you can see God's kingdom coming in loads of different ways.